Are you tired of being the nice guy who finishes last? The man always taken for granted, whose generosity is exploited, whose patience is tested until it snaps. You pour yourself out only to find yourself disrespected, your boundaries ignored, your efforts unappreciated. This isn't about being unlucky, it's about a fundamental flaw in your approach, a gaping vulnerability in your masculine strategy. Most men are playing emotional chess with a blindfold on, caught in a cycle of subtle manipulation and self-sabotage, all because they misunderstand the raw dynamics of power and attraction. They think being good will earn respect. I'm here to tell you that's a lie, a comfortable lie designed to keep you weak, subservient, and easily controlled. Today, we're ripping off that blindfold. We're diving into the brutal, unapologetic wisdom, a page straight out of Machiavelli's playbook, to show you how to command respect, not beg for it. This isn't about being a jerk. It's about mastering the mental game, establishing emotional control, and building yourself into the undeniable high-value man who dictates terms, rather than constantly reacting to them. If you've ever felt yourself losing ground, if you're sick of being seen as a doormat instead of a force, then listen up, because what I'm about to reveal is the harsh truth that most men will never grasp, and it's the only way to stop being played. You've been sold a fairy tale, a naive illusion that if you just give enough, care enough, and be enough, people will naturally reciprocate. They won't. In a world where emotional intelligence is often weaponized, your excessive goodness isn't seen as virtue. It's an invitation for exploitation. Think about it. When you present yourself as perpetually available, infinitely forgiving, and unconditionally generous, you're not projecting strength. You're projecting a lack of boundaries, an absence of the critical masculine strategy that screams, I value myself, and I demand the same from you. This isn't about people being inherently evil. It's about human nature, a raw, primal instinct to test boundaries and leverage perceived weaknesses. Your kindness becomes a liability. It transforms into a silent, often unconscious form of manipulation against you. People, consciously or not, will test how much they can take before you break. They'll demand more, give less, and gradually erode your sense of self-worth. You become the safe option, the one who can be pushed around, because they never push back. This dynamic utterly destroys respect. A high-value man doesn't beg for respect. He commands it by demonstrating his value, his boundaries, and his strategic prowess. He understands the mental game at play, the subtle dance of give and take, and he refuses to be the constant giver in a one-sided equation. He exercises acute emotional control, not by suppressing feelings, but by refusing to let them dictate his strategic responses. Machiavelli didn't advocate for cruelty, but for prudence and the understanding of human reality. He understood that appearing to good makes you vulnerable. True power isn't about being universally liked, it's about being respected, even feared, in a way that discourages overt manipulation. It's about cultivating a reputation for integrity and strength, where people think twice before crossing you. This isn't about being a villain. It's about acknowledging that the world operates on power dynamics, whether you choose to acknowledge them or not. Your niceness becomes a cloak of invisibility for your own power, allowing others to siphon it away without consequence. The man who understands this wields his kindness strategically, as a tool, not as an Achilles heel. He knows when to be generous, and more importantly, when to be formidable. This is the essence of building genuine masculine respect. It's about mastering your internal state, your emotional control, so you're not reacting from a place of insecurity, but acting from a place of strategic intent. Now, if this truth resonates, if you're ready to stop being a pawn in someone else's game, then you need to understand the fundamental shift in mindset required to reclaim your power. This isn't merely about uttering a two-letter word, it's about a complete re-architecture of your internal operating system. The fundamental shift is moving from an approval-seeking posture to one rooted in self-respect and the unwavering assertion of your boundaries. When you fail to establish these non-negotiable lines, you are, by default, ceding control of your time, energy, and emotional bandwidth. You become a resource to be consumed, rather than an individual to be genuinely valued and respected. This is where the true mental game begins. A test of your internal fortitude. Can you withstand the discomfort of someone else's mild disappointment in order to uphold your own non-negotiable standards? Many men recoil from the friction that a firm no inevitably generates. They fear the perceived loss of a relationship, an opportunity, or even the subtle withdrawal of social approval. This fear, my friend, is a gaping vulnerability that skilled manipulators instinctively target. It's a chink in your emotional control. A high-value man, however, understands that authentic respect is not garnered by constant appeasement, but by strategic discernment. His time, his energy, his very presence are finite and inherently valuable. He understands that your yes holds weight only when your no is equally potent. Machiavelli, far from advocating for wanton cruelty, understood the human tendency to exploit weakness. He recognized that those who appear too accommodating invite manipulation. Your firm boundary is not an act of aggression. It is a declaration of your sovereign territory. It communicates, silently but profoundly, that you are a man who prioritizes his own integrity and mission. This isn't about being confrontational, it's about being clear. It's the ultimate masculine strategy to define your terms of engagement, thereby forcing others to meet you on your ground, or not at all. This what fortifies your position in any dynamic, shifting the power squarely back into your hands. This isn't just about external interactions. It's an internal battle, a crucial component of your emotional control, where you disarm the conditioned need for external validation. It's the courageous leap from being reactive to being proactively self-governed. But how do you translate this profound internal shift into tangible, actionable steps without alienating those who matter, while simultaneously repelling those who seek to drain your resources? The tangible shift begins with mastering the strategic refusal. This isn't about confrontational aggression, but a calculated withdrawal of your availability when your boundaries are encroached upon. Consider it a precision strike in the emotional chess game. When you communicate your no, it must be delivered with the unwavering conviction that stems from true emotional control, not from anger or frustration. This is a crucial aspect of your mental game, asserting your non-negotiables. A high-value man understands that his energy is not a bottomless well to allow its depletion by relentless demands is a self-inflicted wound. This isn't Machiavelli advocating tyranny, but rather for the shrewd self-preservation that guards your power. It's the masculine strategy of preserving your resources. Those who genuinely respect you will adapt. They will understand that your no isn't a rejection of them, but an affirmation of your self-worth. They will see it as a mark of a man with integrity, a man who knows his limits and lives by them. This cultivates true respect. But those who engage in manipulation, who thrive on breaching boundaries, will recoil. They will interpret your clarity as an obstacle to their agenda, a move that strips them of their power over you. Your refusal becomes a shield against parasitic relationships. This is where the concept of being feared in the sense of inspiring awe and caution, rather than terror over loved without limits, truly manifests. It's about establishing an undeniable perimeter. You are defining the terms of engagement. It's an exercise in mental fortitude, a rigorous test of your will to uphold your standards. This strategic withdrawal, this firm no, is an act of reclaiming your sovereign self. It forces others to elevate their game, to meet you at a higher standard of interaction, or to exit your orbit entirely. It purifies your inner circle, leaving only those who genuinely contribute to your growth and respect your personal integrity. This isn't just about setting a boundary. It's about building an unshakable fortress around your potential, ensuring your resources are directed where they truly matter. This radical commitment to self-preservation lays the groundwork for unprecedented personal power. Your presence, once a given, transforms into a privilege. This isn't about playing childish games. It's about mastering the psychology of desire and the fundamental principles of value. Think of it like a market. When a commodity is abundant, its price plummets. When it's scarce, demand skyrockets. Your time, your attention, your very presence, these are your most valuable commodities. A man who is endlessly available is, in essence, flooding the market with himself. He becomes common, predictable, and ultimately, invisible. This isn't Machiavellian in the sense of malicious intent, but it certainly echoes Machiavelli's understanding of how power is maintained, not by being universally loved or constantly present, but by being strategically feared, or rather, deeply respected, and by controlling access to oneself. It requires immense emotional control to resist the impulse to always be there, to always respond, to always engage. This is the ultimate mental game, where you are not reacting to external pressures but deliberately orchestrating the flow of your energy. This subtle manipulation of availability isn't about deceit, it's about teaching others how to value you. A high-value man understands this implicitly. He doesn't chase attention, he cultivates it through judicious scarcity. When you strategically withdraw, a void is created. That void prompts curiosity, reflection, and, critically, a reevaluation of your worth. It forces others to confront the reality of your absence and the value of your presence. This masculine strategy is not about being cold or uncaring. It's about demanding that your contributions be acknowledged and respected. It's a bold move on the emotional chessboard, a direct challenge to the common fallacy that constant availability equates to affection or loyalty. On the contrary, it often breeds contempt. When you are always there, you become part of the background noise. Your strategic disappearance, however, makes you the striking silence, the missing piece. It amplifies your power because it shifts the dynamic now. They are seeking you, rather than you perpetually offering yourself. This deliberate pacing, this mastery of the ebb and flow of your presence, establishes a new baseline for interaction. It's how you cultivate genuine respect, not just fleeting interest. It transforms you from an ever-present fixture into a coveted entity. But what about the internal shifts this creates within you? The man, how does this deep self-respect reshape your own reality? When you cease to be perpetually available, when you consciously elevate your own worth by dictating the terms of engagement, a profound internal alchemy begins. That shift from desperately seeking validation to confidently commanding it transforms your core. You stop being a commodity and start becoming a rare artifact. This isn't just a masculine strategy for external influence. It's an internal recalibration. The deep self-respect forged in this process liberates you from the insidious need for external approval. You dismantle the psychic chains that once bound your self-worth to the fleeting opinions of others. This is the true meaning of constructing your own kingdom, a sovereign internal domain where your value is intrinsically defined, not externally ratified. Here, the principles of a master strategist come into play. It's about wielding the sword of emotional control with surgical precision, not against others, but against the self-defeating impulses that erode your power. This is the ultimate mental game. Mastering your own reactive patterns, understanding that your time and energy are finite, non-renewable resources. You become the architect of your inner world, making it impenetrable to the chaos of others' expectations. Think of it as applying a Machiavellian discipline, not to dominate states, but to govern yourself. Every decision about who gets your time, your attention, your energy, becomes a strategic move. This isn't external manipulation in the pejorative sense, but rather a sophisticated self-management, a re-engineering of your own psychological landscape to ensure you operate from a position of strength. This commitment to self-sovereignty naturally cultivates deep respect both from yourself and from others. This internal alignment is the bedrock upon which the true high-value man stands. He doesn't need to chase because his self-contained world is already abundant. His presence becomes a privilege, not a given. This isn't about arrogance. It's about an unshakable conviction in your own intrinsic worth. When you stop bending yourself into pretzels for approval, your true form emerges. This authenticity, paradoxically, is one of your greatest sources of power. It's a beacon that attracts genuine connection and repels superficiality. You are no longer playing a reactive role in someone else's script. You are writing your own. But how do you maintain this sovereign state when the world constantly demands your attention, constantly tries to pull you back into its orbit? By mastering the deliberate deployment of silence. This isn't about being quiet for the sake of it, but understanding its profound application in the mental game of human interaction. This is where true emotional control becomes your most potent weapon, when you refuse to be drawn into the reactive fray. When you hold your tongue and your energy, you immediately shift the power dynamic. It's a Machiavellian move in the personal arena, not about cruel manipulation, but about strategic positioning to command respect. Consider silence your personal psychological shield, an impenetrable barrier against the noise and demands that seek to chip away at your internal fortress. It's a profound masculine strategy. When a high-value man chooses not to engage, chooses to observe rather than react, he is demonstrating an unparalleled level of self-possession. He's not avoiding, he's calculating. He understands that what is withheld often becomes more desired, more valuable. This isn't about arrogance, but about a deep-seated confidence that doesn't need to prove itself through constant verbal output. This strategic silence forces others to fill the void, to reveal their own intentions, their insecurities, their desperation for your attention. You create a vacuum, and human nature abhors a vacuum. They will rush to fill it, exposing their hand while you remain poised, observing, gathering intelligence. This is the essence of the mental game. It's a form of indirect manipulation, yes, but its purpose is to establish boundaries and calibrate the respect you receive. You are setting the terms of engagement without uttering a single word. The man who can comfortably occupy silence, who doesn't feel the compulsive urge to fill every conversational gap, radiates an aura of immense power. It signals a complete lack of neediness, a testament to his emotional control. He understands that true influence isn't about speaking the loudest, but about being the most impactful when he does speak. This discernment, this economy of words, amplifies their weight. It's about leveraging scarcity. The less you speak, the more weight each word carries. It's a deliberate choice, a disciplined act that reinforces your status as a high-value man. It's a constant recalibration of your psychological perimeter. But this mastery isn't just about withholding, it's also about knowing when to unleash your voice with precision and maximum impact. Knowing when to unleash your voice with precision and maximum impact is the flip side of mastering silence. When you do speak, your words carry the amplified weight of your preceding quietude. This isn't about volume, it's about calibrated resonance. It's the ultimate display of emotional control, demonstrating you are not reactive, not swayed by external pressures. This self-mastery is instantly perceived as undeniable power. It's a profound aspect of masculine strategy, recognizing your presence as a valued resource, never squandered. This deliberate withholding, this strategic withdrawal, is a masterstroke in the mental game. It's a calculated move to recalibrate interpersonal dynamics. Think of Machiavelli. It's less about constant adoration and more about cultivating deep respect, even subtle awe for your self-possession and calibrated strength. Your strategic silence cultivates this gravitas. It's a form of subtle manipulation, not malicious but highly effective in shaping perceptions and ensuring you are consistently treated as a high-value man. You are, in essence, training others how to interact with you, setting relationship standards without uttering a single demand. This approach forces those around you to pursue, to invest, to actively earn your attention and presence, rather than receiving it freely. It creates a psychological imbalance in your favor, transforming your time and focus into a coveted, scarce resource. The silence, the temporary withdrawal, becomes a critical test. It filters out the superficial, revealing who is genuinely invested, who steps up, and who truly values your engagement. The objective isn't merely to be quiet, but to ensure that when you do engage, it is always on your terms, from an unassailable position of strength, never from desperation. This is the true art of psychological warfare, where both your presence and your absence are your most potent, strategically deployed weapons. But what happens when others attempt to mirror this strategy, to turn your own game against you? Now, reflect. Have you ever been subtly manipulated or found your emotional control tested in a mental game without even realizing it? Tell me in the comments below if you're serious about mastering masculine strategy, earning genuine respect, and becoming the undisputed high-value man who understands the true Machiavellian principles of influence and manipulation. Then subscribe to this channel and activate the bell. Only then will you continue to unlock the profound mental game strategies that most men never discover. For your next step in asserting power, click on the suggested video covering how to turn the tables when others attempt your own tactics. Stay sharp.